morning, everyone, and welcome to our first virtual breakfast meeting of 2021. I'm John Burlingham, the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. Please stand wherever you are this morning and join us in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you again for joining us this morning. First of all, a very special thank you to our guest speaker this morning, United States Congressman Antonio Delgado, and our sponsor, Ulster Savings Bank. As we begin this year, your Chamber of Commerce continues our monthly virtual breakfast meetings. Next month, we will be presenting an Albany update with our guest speaker, State Assemblyman Kevin Cahill and State Senator Michelle Hinchy. We've asked both lawmakers to bring us up to date on the pending state budget and other items of interest to everyone in the business community. Mark down the date and time and be sure to join us on Tuesday, February 23rd at 9 a.m. We will be live streaming on our Facebook page and on YouTube with technical support from Radio Kingston. Our sponsor is Catskill Hudson Bank. Also next month, the Chamber will be continuing our series of virtual business card exchanges, business card exchanges, give members a chance to meet your local business leaders in this virtual world and make important connections. Our next business exchange will be held on Zoom Friday, the February 26th, starting at 9 a.m. Again, that's Friday, February 26th, starting at 9 a.m. Our sponsor is Hudson Valley Credit Union. Early registration is recommended since these events frequently sell out. Go to ulsterchamber.org to register. As many of you may remember, the pandemic caused the Chamber to cancel at the very last minute our annual St. Patrick's Day breakfast in 2020. This year, we're determined to celebrate St. Paddy's Day in typical grand style. We invite you to join us March 17th at 9 a.m. for our St. Patrick's Day breakfast meeting. Depending on circumstances, it may be a virtual event, a hybrid, or something completely different. What we do know for sure is that we'll have musical entertainment, lots of Irish fun, and the surprise naming of our honorary Irish Person of the Year. Our sponsor for this great event, as always, is the Reese Group. For all these events, you can find more information on the Chamber's website, ulsterchamber.org, and that's where you'll always be able to view past Chamber events, which are archived on our homepage. Now, with the rest of our program this morning, here's Ward Todd.
John, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our virtual breakfast meeting for January. We thank you so much for being with us today, and another thanks to our board chair, John Burlingham, who is just now the first of this brand new year, taking over the chairmanship duties. John's been involved with the Chamber as long as I can remember as an ambassador first. Something just showed up on Facebook memories today. It was 9 years ago today. John was working hard at one of our mixers, welcoming new members. So, John, again, congratulations, and thank you for all you're doing for the Chamber of Commerce. As we've done every January for the past number of years, we use the occasion of this breakfast meeting to thank and to pay tribute to a number of longstanding Chamber members who are celebrating significant anniversaries in 2021. Now, these are members who've been part of this organization for a minimum of 25 years and who've been sustaining us through the years. This morning, we recognize and we acknowledge their support, and we thank them for helping to maintain a strong business advocacy organization in our region. Allow me to recognize these distinguished Chamber members, beginning with celebrating their 75th anniversary this year as a member of the Chamber: Adirondack Trailways, Pine Hill Trailways, New York Trailways. Gene Berardi and family and staff, you're amazing. We thank you for all your help over these 75 years. Celebrating their 60th anniversary as a member of the Chamber of Commerce this year, our good friends at Fine and Park LLC. Celebrating 55 years as chamber members, Eng's Restaurant and Howmet Fastening Systems, formerly Arconic Fastening. Their 50th golden anniversary as chamber members are Mid-Hudson Valley Federal Credit Union and Sawyer Savings Bank. 40th anniversary celebrations go out to Aquajet Pools and Service, the Arc Mid-Hudson, Hudson Valley Mall, Ulster County Government. 35-year anniversary to Cerebral Palsy of Ulster County, Family of Woodstock, Howard Johnson Inn, Hudson River Maritime Museum, Jaffer Electric, Schuster Associates, United Way of Ulster County, and Viking Industries. 30-year anniversary to Academy General Insurance, now part of the Nacarado Insurance Group. Catskill Art Supply, the Children's Home of Kingston, Community Products, ARCAL, the Resource Center for Accessible Living, the Town of Ulster, and Wright Architects. Also at 25 years, celebrating A&D Pumps, Boyce Brothers Dairy, Cushman & Wakefield Pyramid Brokerage Company, Emergency One Urgent Care and Diagnostic Center, Emerson Resort and Spa, Laborers Union, Local Number 17, Medical Associates of the Hudson Valley PC, Old Republic Tile, Reginato Ristorante, Ronda Yacht Basin, Ultra Seal Corp, that is, and the Woodstock Birdcliff Guild. To each and every one of you, we cannot thank you enough. We have mailed to you a certificate attesting to your longstanding membership in the Chamber of Commerce. We hope you will display it prominently and proudly. Meanwhile, it's been a very active new year for the Chamber's amazing membership team, Carol Ricken and Jess Davis, and our hardworking Chamber ambassadors. Jess, please come up now and officially welcome our newest members of the Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning, Ulster County. Okay, we have been very busy, and thank you to everyone who remains a member, renews your membership, and also takes the opportunity to learn about the benefits of becoming an Ulster Chamber member. Carol and I are always on hand to help you along. So first and foremost, we will welcome Albany Can Code. They serve the unemployed, the underemployed, and there's funding available. So Albany Can Code, welcome. Next is Atlas Archaeology LLC, and that's a consulting company out in Pine Bush. Balzer and Associates, we welcome Evan. He specializes in marketing for small businesses. Next up, we've got personal injury attorneys Bosch and Keegan, John DeGasperis. And coming soon, but already a member, Board, Cheese, and Coffee, Josephine, we welcome. That will be located on North Front Street in Uptown Kingston. And we celebrated last week the grand opening of Brickyard Pizza in the Simmons Plaza in Berkeley Heights, Saugerties. Protect yourself with Dawn Reeves from Combined Insurance, new to town and new to the Chamber. Not so new to Rosendale, Creekside Bar and Bistro, and they've got exciting things to come in the spring. Next up is Custom Masonry and Excavation, Mike Yanta, welcome. And you may know him, David Leifer Photography. He specializes in local Hudson Valley weddings, headshots, family photos, and all your kiddie photos. We've got Delaware River Solar. We welcome Andy. Farming Solar. So if you're looking for solar, but you don't have that capability to put it on your roof or in your yard, you can share farmed solar, Delaware River Solar, for more information. We welcome back Gilpatrick Van Vliet Funeral Home out of Port Ewan. I'm halfway through. There's a lot of exciting things happening in Ulster County. So this is sort of like the highlight of the breakfast for me. Otherwise, Congressman Delgado is always wonderful to hear speaking. We have next up, we're going to go down to the Rondout with Half Moon Rondout Cafe. They've got coffee. They're offering local Monkey Joe coffee, but they might be better known with their old-fashioned donuts. They seem to be popular and super busy, which is a great thing, especially in the winter season down on the Rondout. You got to get down there. A lot of great things happening. We welcome our friends at Kingston Community Radio. I got to visit last week and fill them in on current chamber events. So happy to have you as a part of our chamber. Tony Marmo and friends, Lawrence Maxwell. And It's new and exciting. It's the Kingston Wire. We welcome Kingston Wire. Stay tuned. I'll be there for a ribbon cutting soon. And Nacarado Insurance is expanding, new location in New Paltz, now a member of the Ulster Chamber. And Jennifer at Phoenicia Lodge. Follow them on Facebook. Beautiful, beautiful destination location here in Ulster County in the Hudson Valley. Scrub It Up Car Wash. You probably see them in Port Ewan. Stay tuned because they'll be adding a location very soon. Not almost to the end of the list. Simply Gone Junk Removal LLC. That's Bob Sykes, and it's a family business. He's looking to grow it bigger. So call on him for any of your cleanouts, commercial and residential. We welcome back Stone Pony Deli and Catering, and that's John Livermore. I think you all know him. He's notorious for his pig roasts, but now he's got pizza, soups, and he's looking to cater into the spring and summer this year and get going again. He's excited for the future. Something new I just learned about, Teda's Market and Pizzeria in Olive Bridge. We welcomed them on social media last month, and people just love Teda's. I can't wait to get out there. And we have Upstate Vintage Antique Show. It's a traveling outdoor antique show. So follow them on Facebook and Instagram to find out where their next outdoor antique event will be, bringing in local vendors and some from outside of the area for some local shopping fun. We've got Urban Fork, Rosanna Rausch, located on East Chester Bypass for brunch, for tacos, for wings. We've heard amazing things. Yes, I have tried it. They're very popular in the Ulster Eateries United group, so be sure to put them on your to-eat list. Last but not least, we have Zen Business, and they are here to help you start, run, and grow your business. So that wraps up our current new members, and I'll probably be back next month with a bunch more. I just want to let you all know that I will be on standby this morning and taking all of your comments to share those with Congressman Delgado. So please be sure to ask any questions that you have in the comments of the Facebook feed, and we'll get those to him this morning. Thanks, Ulster County.
Thanks very much, Jess, and thank you to all of our new members for believing in the Chamber of Commerce. We're delighted to have all of our new members recognized this morning. Our Congressman is going to be joining us in just a moment, but first, time to thank our sponsor today, Ulster Savings Bank. The first breakfast of this beautiful new year is sponsored by one of the oldest businesses founded right here in Ulster County, Ulster Savings Bank, this year celebrating their 170th anniversary. For any business to survive for that long means they must be doing something right. In fact, did you know Ulster Savings Bank is one of only 494 remaining mutual savings banks left in the United States? They are a bank with no stockholders. They exist for the benefit of their customers and community. Ulster Savings has navigated through wars, depressions, pandemics, the sea of shifting social movements, economic ups and downs, ever-changing banking regulations, and accelerated technological advancements. Their key to survival is staying steadfast to their core values and adapting to the changing needs of the community they serve. They started out as a bank, but today they are so much more by offering a full range of products and services that include insurance for home, auto, life and business, payroll and accounting services, investment advice, tax preparation, and loan products with service that stays local throughout the life of the loan. Ulster Savings is more than just banking. They're really about that human connection of building relationships, being trusted advisors, going above and beyond and trying to make life just a bit easier for all of us. It's now my pleasure to introduce the President and CEO of Ulster Savings Bank, Bill Calderera.
Hi, I'm Bill Calderera, President and CEO of Ulster Savings Bank. Since our founding back in 1851, we've been dedicated to serving our customers and our community in a way that's friendly, responsive, and secure, and it always will be. 2020 was a challenging year to say the least, but it's times like these that bring us all together. whether it's helping a business with a PPP loan, anticipating the needs of a nonprofit, or stopping fraud such as identity theft before it happens to prevent negative consequences, we're always here for you in both good times and challenging times. Our values here at Ulster Savings Bank help guide us in everything we do, and I think this was especially true during the COVID pandemic. We state our values in this terms of beliefs. We believe in being a major driver of positive change in our community. We believe in having our customers back. We believe we can help change the trajectory of people's lives, and we believe in pulling together to get things done. We believe in creating a workplace we can all brag about. We're extremely proud to have received national recognition from the Independent Bankers Association as a 2020 National Community Bank Service Award recipient for our response to our community during the COVID pandemic. As the oldest community bank with local roots in Ulster County, we're celebrating our 170th anniversary this year. It gives us pause to reflect not only on where we've been, but also to look ahead to see where new possibilities lie. But one thing will always remain the same, that without you, our customers and our community, there would be no us. So on behalf of all of us at Ulster Savings, thank you for your support. At last year's breakfast that we sponsored in January of 2020, we were able to be here all together in person. This year it's different, and we decided to bring Ulster Savings to you, and I hope you enjoy it. In honor of our 107th anniversary, we're kicking off our 170 acts of kindness throughout the year. Some will be announced ahead of time, and others will be presented without notice. Let's start off with one now. We always give a surprise when we sponsor the Chamber Breakfast. For everyone who comments on Facebook Live this morning with a comment or an emoji during the breakfast, you will automatically be entered into a raffle where 2 winners will be chosen at random to win. The first is for a $170 gift card, and the second is for an $1,851 gift card to be used at any Ulster Chamber member business. And if you're an Ulster Savings customer, we'll double that gift to either $340 or $3,702. We won't want you to miss it, so check back later today on the Chamber website or at our website, ulstersavings.com, to see if you're one of the lucky winners and to get more details. So thank you for attending the virtual breakfast today. We are once again honored and proud to sponsor Congressman Delgado.
Here, thanks to Bill and to Ulster Savings, longtime Chamber sponsor and corporate sponsor, a corporate leader. Thanks again so much for your support, Bill. It's time to welcome our guest speaker this morning, who was just reelected to his second term in Congress back in November. You may remember he spoke to our membership at a sold-out breakfast meeting at the Best Western Plus a year ago this month, where he took questions from the audience. And even though he's joining us virtually this year, he would still like to hear from you. So you're welcome to post your comments on Facebook, and we'll get to as many as time permits today. Good morning, Congressman Delgado. Was it, in fact, just 1 year ago when you spoke to us? It seems like a bit more than that, right?
Yes, it's good to see you, President Ward. And I'm going to tell you, lots happened. A lot's happened since then. And it's good to be back with everybody, even if it has to be virtually. I know I spoke to the group, I think in May, did a virtual breakfast, and then we had the candidates forum in October. So good to be back and look forward to the conversation.
It's great to have you with us. Some thoughts, first of all, on the past few weeks and months activities that have been going on?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm happy to, I have some remarks. I'm happy to jump right in.
Please.
If you like, and then, take some questions. So again, thank you. Really appreciate the opportunity. It's good to be speaking to all of you as we enter into the new year. I hope you're all safe, and I hope you're all healthy. As I know, we've been through a lot. And so my prayers are with everybody, and I wish you nothing but the best in 2021. I want to thank the Chamber for your commitment, for your work to advocate for your neighbors and represent our local economy. It's been a trying time, and having the work that you've done to step up to support your community, your small business owners, providing relief, really a community effort is critically important. I want to thank and congratulate John for the new role. I want to also send some love to Jess. Thank you for the kind words. And of course, to my My friend Bill, who is sponsoring the event, president and CEO of Ulster Savings. I know he's been doing an incredible job. The bank has been doing an incredible job throughout the coronavirus to support our community and to make sure that we can remain economically viable here in Ulster. As I'm sure you all know by now, I think I've done 3 of these starting in 2019. Ulster, while I live in Dutchess, Ulster has a very special part or place in my heart. My wife, Lacey, was raised in Woodstock, and my amazing mother-in-law, Peggy Schwartz, lives in Kingston and has a small business in Saugerties. So love Ulster County and certainly want to do all I can to support our community. And I really do look forward to returning to these events in person. Now, let me just give a couple of updates on some items and then open it up for some Q&A. Let's talk a little bit about the assistance programs that we at the federal level have tried to make sure we can provide for you. PPP, we know how important this has been. The Paycheck Protection Program. During the coronavirus, PPP helped over 9,100 small businesses all throughout New York 19. And we were able to maintain and retain 73,000 employees as a result. Now, after speaking to a number of folks on the ground, small business owners, I heard directly who told me, if they could reapply, they certainly would. And so it was incumbent upon us to figure out how we can continue to assist those small businesses hardest hit by the coronavirus. And so I introduced a bill that would allow small businesses to reapply for PPP. And thankfully, that bill was included in the most recent package that was passed in December. So there is a chance now for small businesses to reapply for PPP. And I think that's a great step in the right direction. Also want to note that if you want to apply, go to sba.gov and make sure you get that information, or certainly call my office 845-443-2930, and we can assist you in that regard. The package also included my Small Business Debt Relief Extension Act, which will provide 3 months of SBA payments on qualified small business loans and 5 additional months on payments for small businesses hit hardest. So this is another opportunity for us to build off of what we did in the CARES Act. If you recall, I included in that bill the Small Business Repayment Relief Act. So this is the extension of that. It was signed into law back in the CARES Act, and now it's been signed into law here with the most recent package in December. So again, you have more assistance with PPP. You have the debt extension relief as well. And then there's also targeted EIDL emergency advance funds for small businesses in low-income communities. Additional advance funds will be available to applicants in low-income communities who previously received an EIDL advance for less than $10,000, or those who applied but didn't receive funds due to lack of available program funding. So if you attempted to apply previously, but because of a lack of funding, you were unable to access it, you now have a chance to reapply and do so. So again, more funding, more assistance for our small businesses. I also note the package includes flexibilities within PPP to work for better independent restaurants, or work better for independent restaurants. Includes $15 billion for grants to shuttered venues. So again, we are trying to make sure, particularly during these cold months, how do we ensure that our restaurants are able to sustain themselves? They no longer can take advantage of the summer weather months, as so many of them did back during the summer. So again, big piece. Now, when I last spoke to you, we discussed critical federal programs to help our farmers as well. As I'm sure we can appreciate, we have a lot of small family farms all throughout the district. I was able to lead the charge in the CARES Act to get $9.5 billion in disaster assistance for our small producers. I'm happy to announce that the USDA is providing additional assistance through the CFAP program, Coronavirus Food Assistance Program, expanding eligibility, updating payments to accurately compensate some producers who already applied for the program. So continue to reach out to my office and we can help you if you want to get more assistance in that regard. The last package, Congress provided change calculations for farmers and producers utilizing PPP loans to take into account gross income in 2019 as reported on a Schedule F. So this is an important change, and I would encourage folks to go to sba.gov to find out more information on PPP loans. I want to just turn quickly, and I won't eat too much time up, but I do want to turn quickly to the importance of state and local funding. Now, if you've been following me and you've been watching what I've been talking about, whether it's on social media or through news outlets or on the floor, you know that support for our state and local governments has been a priority of mine. I was really upset that we were not able to get any real direct relief to our localities on the ground, our counties on the ground who are doing so much work in the most recent package. There was state and local funding in the CARES Act, but there was a population threshold of 500,000 people. We don't have population thresholds that high in New York 19, the 8th most rural district in all of the country. And so it was incumbent upon us to figure out how to get direct aid to support our folks on the ground providing meaningful services. We're talking about EMS. We're talking about sanitation workers, talking about law enforcement, teachers, healthcare workers, folks who are providing substance abuse prevention services, mental health services. And so when we're talking about local government, we're talking about the integrity of our well-being and how those folks on the ground doing the work are maintaining the health and welfare of our communities. We have to step up at the federal level. I introduced a direct support for Communities Act, a bipartisan bill. The good news is, in talking with new Majority Leader Schumer, as well as Gillibrand, the formula that we created in the Direct Support for Communities Act is the formula that right now is currently driving the conversation around getting direct aid to our localities on the ground. So hopefully this is something that will get included. I will not stop beating the drum until it does. Our counties, our towns have suffered a big hit economically with the loss of sales tax revenue, and we got to make sure we do our work in that regard. I'll note that it also ties to the vaccination piece too here. You know, if we're going to have our county step up and meet this moment, I was at the Kingston High School most recently. I saw the wonderful work that the county exec, Pat Ryan, has been able to do on the ground. There are so many others in distributing the vaccine. We know we have a supply side problem that we've got to make sure we deal with. I'm encouraged by the fact that President Biden is talking about using the Defense Production Act. That is imperative. I think the use of FEMA to have more distribution sites is going to be critical. So we have to make sure that we are putting that funding locally on the ground to support our folks on the ground who are doing amazing work with our communities as we look to turn the corner here in 2021 and get beyond the COVID-19 pandemic. So the future, and this is my last point here before we take questions. We've been through a lot, as a country, and we're still going through a lot. A lot of loss of life, a lot of division, a lot of violence, and it can break the heart. It certainly has hurt my heart over the course of the last year in many respects, but my heart still remains full of resolve, and I think it's incumbent upon us to truly come together now and figure out a way forward. And we are no doubt still in the middle of COVID-19, and it must be our top priority. How do we get through it? How do we maintain, our local economies? How do we save lives? All of that must be the top priority. But we also cannot take our eye off the future, our long-term future, to make sure that our communities are more sustainable, no matter the challenges that may lie ahead in the decades to come. And the coronavirus has revealed that we have some glaring deficiencies that we've got to be able to shore up moving forward. Chief among them, rural broadband. The fact that we still have communities in the 21st century without broadband access, when we see how critical and how important it is from an educational standpoint, a healthcare standpoint, an economic standpoint. And so that is going to remain a top priority of mine moving forward wholeheartedly. Making sure that we are not marginalizing our small family-owned farms or overburdening our small businesses is going to be another focus of mine moving forward. We got to clear up some of this red tape. We got to make sure that our policies at the federal level are not just gearing towards the concentration of power and big ag. We have to make sure that we're really providing incentives to foster growth from the ground up economically and help our mom and pops, to help our small farmers. Unaffordable healthcare, unaffordable childcare, unaffordable housing, plaguing our communities and particularly our rural communities. And we've got to do more to invest in housing, to invest in healthcare, make it affordable, make it accessible, and of course, invest in childcare in our future. It's so critical. Crumbling infrastructure. We've got to do more there too. From our roads to our bridges to our school buildings to our grids, everything. We have to do more to make sure that we are really connecting ourselves, both in the broadband sense, the virtual sense, but also in the physical, tangible sense. And of course, we have to do a lot more to help empower our workforce development and get them the skills that they need to take on the jobs that are available. So these are all the things that are top of mind for me as we move forward. And we're already getting busy. This week, I'm going to reintroduce the Rebuild Rural America Act, which would change the way the federal government supports economic development in small towns and communities. The bill would create a rural future partnership fund through the USDA, providing flexible and generous grants to help rural regions. So that's a big one that I'm excited to introduce along with Senator Gillibrand. Also want to flag, we introduced at the end of last year the Rural Revitalization Now Act, which would keep young people here by forgiving up to $50,000 worth of college debt in exchange for just living. Your primary residence is in a rural community. We got to figure out ways to keep our young families, our people here to build and grow our economy. The Rural Revitalization Now Act is a piece to that puzzle. Now, if we're going to keep them here, they need broadband, obviously. You need affordable housing, obviously. But again, a big piece too that is holding a lot of our young people back is the plague of student debt. So we got to change that dynamic. Also, my Gateway to Careers Act, which would allow funding for partnerships between community colleges, career technical education institutions, as well as workforce development programs and community wraparound programs like housing, childcare and transportation. How do we support those people who are out there trying to improve their skill set, our workforce, but don't have the infrastructure in place to make sure someone can look after their child as they get those new credits, or figure out how to get to that college or community college with affordable transportation. So these are the things to me that are very important as we move forward in 2021. We have a lot of work ahead of us, no question about it. But I think that we can meet the challenge. I think we can meet the moment. In fact, I know we can. And it's incumbent upon us to stay grounded in our values, stay grounded in our truth, lead with compassion and love, and do all that we can to rally around our shared principles and our values. Just take our cue from the folks on the ground, the selfless volunteers who are doing amazing work, the healthcare workers who are putting themselves in harm's way. Take our cue from those who are doing that kind of work, who are leading by example, and do what we can to do our part along the way. And so again, I want to thank you all for the opportunity to connect and speak with you. It truly is a joy. I do wish and look forward to this happening in person in the next year or so. But again, President Top, thank you so much, and look forward to taking questions.
All right. Thanks so much, Congressman Delgado. We do have questions from viewers. A note from today's sponsor, Ulster Savings Bank, that they are still processing PPP loans. So if you're interested, you can give those folks at Ulster Savings a call. We have a question about the eviction moratorium. A viewer is hearing from commercial and residential landlords that the eviction moratorium extension to June here in New York is squeezing them. Is there any proposed legislation at the federal level to provide support to landlords who may not have significant payroll costs?
Yes, there is proposed legislation, and that is something that was being worked on late last year. I have to go back and confirm if there was anything included specifically in the last package. I don't think there ultimately was in that package, but I know that there was legislation that I supported both to help not only our landlords, but our tenants to figure out ways, because the burden that's being shouldered by our landlords, and oftentimes this debate or this conversation is framed in a way where the burden is only put upon the tenants and from the standpoint of how do we help residents. But the fact of the matter is our landlords who are oftentimes not these massive, real estate investors or giants, but mom and pops themselves who are looking to figure out how they're going to survive, and they're relying upon the rent coming in to keep themselves afloat. And so it's important that we do what we can to ensure and provide that relief moving forward. And that I do believe that's something that we're focusing on, both the administration is as well as Congress, and we're hoping to be able to get some legislation included in the next package.
Okay. Local community banks have been the backbone of economic growth in our local communities for hundreds of years. This was truly demonstrated in their response to the COVID pandemic and distribution of PPP loans. Will the new administration recognize the difference between local community banks and large mega Wall Street banks as they bring forward new legislation in terms of enforcement of current regulations?
Yes. If I have anything to do with it, I think one of the things that I have really been pushing as far back as 2018 is, how do we treat or why do we continue to conflate, whether it's big banks, community banks, whether it's big ag, small family farms, whether it's co-ops and big tech. There's a constant conflation of the concentration of power and wealth and capital, and how we have to somehow, from the federal perspective, make the marketplace more competitive and not have it become monopolistic, because the enemy of capitalism, by the way, is monopolies. That's the enemy. And so when you have all of this money being concentrated and you don't have real competition, it can suck the life out of a vibrant, free-flowing marketplace, which is the heart of capitalism. So that means at the same time, how do we foster growth at the community level? How do we maintain the integrity of our community banks that are doing so much work? And so if we're going to make sure that we're reining in bad practices from some of these giants, we have to be clear about the fact that that doesn't have to apply across the board. When the community banks, for example, aren't even deploying the same tactics or using the same methods or utilizing the same financial instruments or whatever the case might be. And so it's incumbent upon us to do that work. And I think, for me, it's about not just making sure that we are more tailor-made in how we craft our legislation and regulatory framework, but also we need to assist our small businesses, our community banks, with the cost of compliance. Because too often with these regulations, it's bad enough you have the regulations. Then you get disadvantaged if you're a smaller outfit, because you don't have the lobbyists and the lawyers that you could just hire and put as a line item in your budget to say, okay, we'll just figure out how to navigate through this. Everything is a cost. And so we at the federal level have got to do a better job of ensuring that we are creating a more streamlined approach, a more cost-effective approach for our community banks, for our small business owners. And so, yes, and I have bills. I did a bill last year with Dr. Joyce, Republican bipartisan bill, that would make it easier and make it more cost compliant or cost effective for small businesses in our community banks to comply with regulations. But very, very important question. And it speaks to the point I made earlier in terms of how we move forward and invest in our economy locally in a sustainable fashion.
Okay, another question from one of our viewers. Is there legislation to return SALT deductions to New York State residents?
Yes, there is. And again, this goes back to the 2017 tax bill. I was just reading something earlier today, though, that, there's a number of folks who ardently support, the tax bill from 2017. But I do think that SALT component, to me, was not only politically driven and incredibly partisan, but just incredibly reckless, because ultimately it's double taxation, number one, but two, you're using that deduction, you're capping it because you're trying to pay for. The reason why they did that was they wanted to pay for the permanent corporate tax rate cut. They couldn't do that without breaking the backs of individuals with the cap. And so they took this opportunity to say, okay, we'll just cap how much you can deduct. And then that'll help us pay for what we can extend or offset the loss of revenue, I should say, from the massive corporate tax cut. That was the trade-off. And the promise was we're going to get more jobs. The promise was that we're going to be able to grow ourselves out of the deficit that was brought about by the tax bill. Well, what we could have been doing is putting that money away for a rainy day. We didn't know what was around the corner, but we certainly knew that typically when your economy is humming along and unemployment is relatively low, you don't use that as an opportunity to take revenue away. You keep that revenue for a rainy day. And so I think, yes, whether it's restoring, the SALT, as we talked about, is very important, but also the whole way in which we think about taxation and how we can do better to support working and middle class Americans and truly create equity in our system is going to be critically important moving forward.
Good question. I'd like to know how the congressman believes he can help with the affordable housing crisis in our area. Any development in the planning stages now is years away to help our community now.
No, listen, I think that's a valid point. When I did a in-district work week last year, I focused on housing. I went to a bunch of different counties to talk to folks, both talk to landlords, talk to residents in public housing, talk to folks who work in the affordable housing space, RUPCO, everybody, just connecting with people on the ground to understand the needs. And the needs are glaring. And the problem is the federal government hasn't done any robust investment in housing in over 4 decades. The HUD budget has been on the decline. So while the crisis has grown, the budget has gone the other way. Makes no sense. And so we have to reorient ourselves in Washington around what do we care about and how are we going to invest our money? Because ultimately, if people can't find affordable housing, you can't build communities. If you can't build communities, you can't sustain your economy. And so making sure that we have housing that's affordable, that we can anchor communities in is going to be of critical importance. Now, we have measures that I support, like low income tax credits, particularly if they're tied to making sure there's affordable housing in the growth of the construction. All of that is important. But I think we have to also consider the ways in which we are offsetting or closing, I should say, the gap between what people are relying on for assistance with housing and what the marketplace actually calls for in terms of affordability. That gap is so wide at this point that a lot of folks I've heard are better off sometimes economically, thinking to themselves, well, if I hold this job, I'm not making enough money to live. I can't find the job. So there's a disincentive at times to actually get the job to pay for the housing versus relying on assistance. And so making sure that we at the federal level really do a better job of calculating that gap and truly assisting folks and truly putting real meaningful dollars behind investment in housing is going to be critical moving forward.
So a comment, then another question, and I thought it appropriate to pass this on. One of our viewers wanted to thank you that his son is in the New York National Guard, has been assigned and working in New Rochelle nonstop since last March, helping with the COVID pandemic. Back when you were first elected, he was having issues, and you were the only person that was both able to help him and offer to help him at that time. And as a father, he said, "I just wanted to thank you." So nice.
Well, I appreciate that, and on that note, with regards to the New York National Guard, thank you for bringing that up, because obviously we've been through a lot as a country, and what happened on January 6th was truly heartbreaking. And I said a lot of prayers for our country. And the thing that right before I came back home last week, I made a point to walk up and down, the streets around the Capitol to talk with the National Guard, who have been stationed there for our protection, to look out for us, to make sure that after January 6th, something like that couldn't happen again. In essence, not just protect us, but protect our democracy, protect the integrity of our system. And I was talking to someone, and I was sure to locate, and I talked to a number of folks from Nebraska, and I kept asking, where are the folks from New York? Where are they? And they ended up being stationed over by the Library of Congress. So I went over there and talked to some folks from Buffalo and from Utica, and thanked them. Thank them for their willingness to put themselves in harm's way. I asked them what they did typically. One of them was a student in school, still in college. Another one was a small business owner. Another one was a farmer. Folks who, decided that it was important to play this role, to be in this role, probably had no idea that they'd be in DC in that capacity, but they were there, ready to protect, our democracy and maintain the integrity of our system. So thank you for acknowledging that. And to the Father, thank you for the kind words.
And that segues, I guess, Congressman, into a question about the strong beliefs on both sides of the political aisle today. How can the president, how can the Congress begin the process of healing and bringing this nation back together?
It's a great question, Ward. And I tell you, it's not going to be easy. Part of the problem is we've lost an objective reference point. There's no ability, it seems, to rally us around a common set of facts, And in the absence of a common set of facts, then everybody's opinion is equal. Everybody's point of view, no matter how uprooted it is from reality, has the same merit. And the fact of the matter is that's not sustainable if you want an informed citizenry that can come together and agree on a common set of facts. And the way that our news is so fragmented and self-reinforcing, and our social media outlets create echo chambers, and you can tune into every cable network you want, and that's going to parrot back whatever you want to hear. We have to be better on the individual level, at our community level, and as leaders, as not just gravitating to the extreme parts of the conversation, or just globbing onto conspiracy theories just because they happen to pop up in our social media feed. And we need leaders who make it a point to truly represent everyone. That is the most important piece too. When you're a leader, you have to signal to the community that you represent all of them, even if they didn't vote for you, even if they don't support you. You just can't take the conversation and direct it solely at the people who supported you. That's not the role of the leader here. The leader is supposed to be able to figure out how to bring people together and say, yes, I understand you might disagree with me. And that's okay. We're a diverse country. We're going to have disagreements. But if we can figure out how to navigate through that, that's actually a strength. It's actually a strength. And so I think, and I hope, and this is what I got from the inauguration, at least in terms of the speeches from Biden, there is a commitment to try to convey to the American people that he wants to serve everybody. Whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, he's not going to just chase down every single point of view that can just set off a series of conversations that are going to be divisive, but instead try to figure out how to bring us together. I was listening, this is the last point I'll make on this. I was listening to a podcast recently, and the gentleman had quoted or shared a quote from President Eisenhower, Republican. And he was going back and forth talking about, I forget who said this, but somebody had said, if you are in the middle of the road, you'll get run over. And the idea was saying, if you're trying to find common ground, if you're trying to do the work of bringing people together, if you're in the middle of the road, you're just going to get run over. His point in response to that was, actually, the only usable part of the road is the middle of the road. When you go too far to the left or too far to the right, you're in the gutters, right? And so if you're that was his way of trying to frame the issue around understanding that we've got to figure out how to find that usable road and live on that usable road. And it takes a certain type of leadership to bring that to bear, and a commitment from us on the ground and our families and our neighborhoods and our communities to prioritize that as well.
Another question posed on Facebook this morning regarding our local hospitals. Can you discuss the legislation that you are proposing and how it would help some of our community hospitals, Congressman?
Well, yes, I was happy to reintroduce this bill. we have, I think, 3 critical access hospitals in the district, or 19 in the state. We have 3 in New York, 19. It's basically, and it's a very important designation because it allows you to get higher reimbursement rates for Medicaid and Medicare, and it's meant to help our hospitals, particularly in rural communities, stay afloat, and particularly when they're struggling in the first place to draw people, and talent because of just sort of the proximity to or lack of proximity, to more densely populated areas. There was a change that was made that would put a number of our critical access hospitals at risk of being designated as such. We basically are saying we want to change that. We want to prevent that from happening. I don't want to get too technical, but it's about how far you are from certain throughways and highways. And we were able to basically draft legislation to ensure that we can maintain, the integrity, the designations of our hospitals, like Ellenville, which is a critical access hospital, right? And make sure that we're able to support and do the work there. So very happy to introduce that bill this week, and going to keep pushing it moving forward.
We have time for another question, and this one has to do with virtual learning that's going on. I think you mentioned earlier there's a snow day today on all days. Public schools and virtual learning during this pandemic, many students are not able to keep up due to a number of problems, either no parental supervision or maybe a need for one-on-one assistance. All impacts the hardest those students who are challenged one way or another. And of course, this could have lasting long-term effects. What's your take on that, Congressman? How can we do a better job in the public education avenue?
Well, first, let me just say this. As a father of 7-year-old twin boys who are in 2nd grade, and Lacey and I have really, we always have appreciated the work of teachers, but this year has certainly elevated that. The amount of stress and strain our teachers are being put under to manage through and adapt and figure out, how to teach in class, how to teach remotely, record videos, check the work. Like it's a lot. And as a parent with just one child or 2 children, twins, we can manage through that. But if you're a teacher, and in some cases you have your own child or children, and you're educating other kids as well, that is a lot. And so first, let me just give a special shout out and a lot of love, to our teachers and our school administrators who are doing all they can. And it's incumbent that we at the federal level first, make sure that our rhetoric and how we speak about our educators and our teachers meets the work that you all do. And then that our priorities from a fiscal standpoint and how we invest, to make sure you have the technology and the means to do the job appropriately and the flexibility to do the job appropriately, that we support you in that regard as well. And then for our young people, one of the things that really I take a lot of pride in and I get a lot of joy from is when I talk to young people, whether it's in person as I did back in 2019 or virtually. I've talked to a number of classrooms virtually from, 1st grade up to senior year in high school. And I can feel even if it's virtually, I can feel the wear and tear sometimes from these young people when we have these conversations. It's a lot to go through, a lot. And so we're going to have to make sure that we are doing the work once we return to some sense of normalcy. And throughout this process, that we're providing real meaningful assistance for mental health for our young people who have really been asked to endure something that is just unprecedented. And they're doing a tremendous job. And even before COVID-19, when I visited schools, they were talking about the need for more investment in mental health on the campuses of our schools. And I think that's even more incumbent now, not just having the nurse's office, but having some type of assistance, some mental health assistance to help our children cope through these incredibly challenging days. And so that's going to be a big piece. And there's legislation that I support, that I've backed, that would assist in that regard. So those are just a couple of points. It's very complicated and very layered, but I do think that it's got to be a priority moving forward. We're talking about our young people here.
Okay, I did miss a question that was asked. If you don't mind, I have time for one more. Is Congress considering extending the filing deadline for federal income tax? The deadline has been extended for banks, brokerage firms, creating a significant work compression for tax return preparers.
That's a good question, and I have to circle back to you on that. I actually haven't, and I could have just missed it. That is not something that I'm aware of in terms of whether or not that's being pushed as of right now. But I do think it's worth consideration, no doubt. And I imagine that it is on the radar of the administration. And so, definitely, thank you for flagging that for me. That's something that I should definitely be looking into. But I would imagine that is something that is certainly bubbling up in Washington.
Congressman, tell folks how they can reach your local office. Many may not know that there is something right here in Kingston, for instance. They can reach out.
Yeah, well, first of all, I have an office in Kingston. We not, with COVID, we're not yet still doing in-person appointments, but certainly reach out. The office, though, just so you're familiar with, is 256 Clinton Avenue. But if you want to do an appointment, reach out to our office, 845-443-2930, 845-443-2930 is the number. We got a great team, a lot of young, hungry caseworkers who really are dedicated and can help, whether it's Social Security, whether it's getting your benefits, whether it's, immigration issues, whether it's, you name it, veterans issues, we're here to help. And so to me, some of the greatest things, some of the most fulfilling work that we do is when I hear how we're able to connect people to resources and benefits on the ground. And I get that call and I can talk to the folks who benefited from that and just hear, the joy and the appreciation. And that is incredibly rewarding. So please reach out to our office.
Okay. Heading back to Washington soon, I assume?
Yes. The one thing I've learned, though, is that the calendar is hard to rely on. So yes, we do hope to go back, though, next week. But we'll see. It's not guaranteed yet, but that is the hope.
All right. Thank you for your time today. Continued success. Appreciate all you're doing and wish you well in the coming weeks and months in Washington. Thank you again.
Thank you, Ward. I appreciate everything you do as well. Truly do.
Thank you. Congressman Antonio Delgado, our guest speaker today. We thank him sincerely. We also want to thank our amazing sponsor, Ulster Savings Bank. There are a couple minutes left. If you've not yet left an emoji or a comment, they're giving away cash prizes to be used at Chamber members in celebration of their 170th anniversary. So you still have time to do that on Facebook Live. Leave an emoji or a comment. Also, thanks for their awesome technical support, Radio Kingston, in particular, Kel Capishillan. And a reminder to join us next month for our next virtual breakfast meeting, when Assemblyman Kevin Cahill and State Senator Michelle Hinchy will provide for us an Albany update, sponsored by Catskill Hudson Bank. As we take a final look back at 2020, we would like to thank our outstanding corporate sponsors. They stayed with us and they supported us this past year, ensuring the Chamber was able to deliver the critically important help and information that our members not just wanted, but needed. These were our 2020 corporate leaders. We thank them sincerely. These are our corporate partners for 2020. Thanks to the following corporate supporters for 2020. And our sustaining sponsors for 2020 as well. Thank you all so very much. And look at ending, as we always try to do, on a positive, upbeat note. We want to invite everyone watching this morning to take advantage of Ulster County's world-class outdoor recreational opportunities. They are there for you. There's no better place than right here in New York's magnificent and majestic Hudson Valley and Catskill region. People come here from all over the world to vacation, and it's right here in our backyard. We get to use it all for free. So take advantage of the most amazing winter outdoor recreational opportunities: skiing, hiking, snowshoeing, horseback riding, cross-country skiing. We have it all. And if you'd like more information, check out the Ulster County Tourism website, Ulster County Alive. Get outdoors and enjoy these winter months. It's beautiful outside. That's our program for today. We thank you so very much for joining us. We hope you will stay safe and be well. Thank you.